are. Yay! Okay, let's start this show over. All right, here we go. Welcome to the For the Love of, or FLO, FLO for short. Everything I do, we shorten it up. It's the FLO Self Masterclass, where, as I like to say, success means nothing. I want you to hear these words. Okay, this is your time. Success means nothing if you're burnt out, stressed out, or emotionally checked out. So, as always, whether you are in the square, in my space, I'm on stage, we're in a coaching session, I always want to make sure you leave feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to take action. And here's what I want you to note for today. Today's challenge, because I'm going to go over a lot of stuff, a lot, is one action. So, whatever you take from today, as I introduce maybe some new concepts, some new thoughts, some new neurological studying that I've been doing, I swear, you guys, if I were to go back to school, I would be a neuroscientist. Like, I cannot stop studying our brain and what it does. So, but I'm not going back to school. I'm just not doing it. Instead, I'm just going to be a neuroscientist here. So I'm going to play one on TV. That's what I'm doing. So today, the challenge is one action. We're going to pick one. And then when you come back next month to report, I want you to report how that action made you feel. Or maybe when we get on a one-on-one, share it with me. We want to take the action. And the reason I encourage you always to come back every single month is I do this every month and you show up as a different person and I show up as a different person. And unfortunately, it takes time to grow, right? We have to give ourselves that grace. So anyway, anybody who's brand new here, who's listening or is on the screen, welcome to all my repeat offenders, my FLO super fans, and to anyone that is new to the community. If we are meeting for the first time, my name is Kim Rogne, and I just told you I am not a professional neuroscientist. I only play one on TV or on the screen. And I'm the owner and founder of FLO, For the Love of, where I'm a keynote motivational speaker. If you're looking for a speaker, let me know. I'm a high performance coach and an author. So I get this all the time. What does that mean? What do you do? So I'm going to boil it down to two statements. I help high achieving women find more balance, more focus, and more success without the burnout. And when we're talking about being a high performance coach, the definition of high performance, just process this for a moment. High performance living is the ongoing feeling of full engagement. Are you fully engaged right now, or are you clearing out your email? Joy, meaning your joy, your happiness. Do you even know what makes you happy? Confidence that comes from consistently, or I have two new words that I like to use, cumulatively, or where your life has a pattern of living from your best self. Okay? So, and everything that I do starts with the FLO Self System. I made it so easy. The FLO Self System. You can go to flowselfsystem.com and you can get the FLO Self Assessment and the 7-day reset, which is very similar to the workbook that you got when you signed up for this. You can go to flowselfmasterclass.com and sign up for all of the master classes for the rest of the year. You can go to flowselfbook.com and you can get the journal on Amazon. So FLO Self System, FLO Self Masterclass, FLO Self Book, like GoDaddy loves me that I bought so many domains, right? Thank you that FLO does not own them. I own them now, right? So, okay, so today we're going to talk about the why. Besides me teaching you how to use the workbook, if you got that when you signed up, or the 7-day reset that you get at the FLO Self System, or you actually have the FLO Self Journal. I'm going to teach you the why behind the three sections, and I'm going to link it to this studying that I've been doing about neuroscience. And here's what I want you to hear, ladies. Based on studying neuroscience and everything that I'm reading and listening to, hear me out. 2/3 of women are caregivers. 2/3 of women are caregivers, and 2/3 of those that are diagnosed with dementia, and when I say dementia, that is a wide spectrum. That means Alzheimer, cognitive decline, they're kind of all in the same bubble. 2/3 who are diagnosed with that are women. Ah, hello. There's a direct correlation because when we become caregivers, what do? We put ourselves last. And that's the why of what we're talking about today. And here's the thing. The beautiful part about your brain, where it's different than a lot of other parts of your body, is it's plastic. You can change it. You can rewire it. You can start today. You can start when you're 60. You can start when you're 80. All of this. Okay? And there's 7 stages of dementia. Okay? If you're in the seventh, you could certainly, what the neuroscientists say is that you can't necessarily reverse it, but there is time. You actually do not feel what's going on somewhere upwards of 20 years before maybe you'd be diagnosed. But we're going to change it today. And here's the why. So we are going to start with the 3 parts. So there are 3 parts in flow self. 3 parts. There's the starting setup, there's the daily flow, and the slow down to speed up. So when we start with the starting setup, here's what I want you to hear. This is to reduce the bad stress, okay? And increase the good stress that your brain needs to grow and be healthy. Good stress, hear me out. Good stress is activities, behaviors, and thoughts that are driven by your purpose. I wish I made that up. I'm actually stealing it. I'm literally stealing it from this beautiful married couple who are both neuroscientists. I mean, gosh, I need to invite them to a party. And the name of the book, I'll put the resource in the recap. What is the name of the book? Alzheimer's Solution. And they were on an interview with Mel Robbins. So I'll put the interview. So this is where I'm pulling this. So this is a direct quote, and I love it so much. Good stress. Activities, behaviors, and thoughts that are driven by your purpose. People who are purpose driven have significantly better brain health. Purpose is neurological. Purpose has direction. Purpose is a well-defined thing that you're moving towards. Okay? Doesn't mean you're building houses in Uganda. It just means on a daily basis, how can you have more purpose? Well, here's how. That's what the weekly setup is, you guys. Because I don't know about you, has anybody ever started their day and just randomly sat down on their computer and plunked away for 6, 8 hours and you're like, what just happened? Am I the only one where you're like, I did the work. I don't know what happened. What happened? That's not purpose. So when we talk about the weekly setup, it's taking a moment, and I've timed it. This portion of the journal you do once a week. This takes less than 10 minutes. I've timed it. I've timed it. I timed it. In the beginning, maybe it'll take you longer, but it's to identify what your purpose is for the week. And we start with setting up what are our 3 big rocks in our life. What are we looking to do in our life? I'll be straight up honest, 80% of the time, those are very work related for me. And I want you to write down this when you are identifying what's most important for you to do in a week. I want you to write down these words: start, continue, finish. Start, continue, finish. The problem of us getting stressed out, not having purpose, just doing for the sake of doing, is sometimes we might have a big rock for the week where we're just starting something and we get all wigged out. It's the end of the week and we're like, oh my gosh, I didn't get it done. Well, because we forgot how long it took to create a new PowerPoint for the presentation, right? So that's a way you could identify too when you decide what your big rocks in your life are. Are you starting it? Are you continuing it because it's a really big project, or are you finishing it? Then the second tip is when we're doing our starting setup, that's great that you identified your big rocks in your life, but did you put them in your calendar? Did you just write them down and then you didn't identify when you're going to actually work on them and for how long? And then the other sections are to get all of the gobbledygook off your brain to save your mind share energy. We are naturally caregivers, whether it is we're young and we're taking care of just our spouse or a dog or a family, a friend or whatever, or we have kids. And then all of a sudden we move into a stage where now maybe our parents are aging and we're taking care of them, right? Natural caregivers, we are two-thirds, women are two-thirds more likely to have cognitive decline, but you can reverse it and you can change it. And so that's the why behind the starting setup. It's so that you can have purpose and you can feel really good at the end of your week and be like, yep, cool. I didn't get everything done, but I got done what's most important. Because I don't know about you, you will never have a blank slate. You will never not have anything on a list. Like, you're high achievers. You have ideas, you have thoughts, you're dreamers. Then if you're in my world, you better have big goals, right? Because we want to live an amazing life and feel it and be confident coming from your best self, okay? That is the why behind the starting setup. Get all the stuff off your brain, write it down, and decide what's most important. And then you can fill in the other blanks, the pebbles and the nitty-gritties as I have in there. That's how I use that section. But what's really most important are the rocks. And oh, by the way, if you only have one, you only have one. Like, there's no judgment. You get to utilize it however you want to organize your week so that you're moving forward with purpose versus just doing for the sake of doing and checking it off a list. We're all going to have checklists, but checklists aren't the big thing, right? Checklists are kind of our everyday. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. We want to move you forward with the big, most important things, okay? All right, so that's that. The second part is the daily flow, where I give you 5 when you have the journal days to do that. I'm assuming like Monday through Friday, we're going to prime our brain. Here's what I want you to hear on the why. I need you to hear the why because you have 11 billion bits of information that are coming into your brain every second. Now, I was like, what does that even mean? Well, here's what it means. This was the analogy that I heard. It is like every second reading the book War and Peace 2 times. So I heard that analogy and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Never read that book. I don't plan on reading that book. Here's what you need to hear. War and Peace is between, because there's different versions. I think it was written in the 1940s. Listen here. Between 1,214 pages, and it contains somewhere between half a million, like a half a million words. So this would be like a million words or 1,800 pages of information coming to your brain. Hear me out. Every second. That is crazy town. And here's the deal. Guess what happens with your brain? Consciously, your brain can only process 50 bits of information, which is like a 10-word sentence. Does this make sense? This is that RAS. I talk about your reticular activator all the time. The whole point of the daily flow, which, oh, by the way, takes less than 5 minutes. And guess what? If you don't like one of the journal prompts, there's no judgment. Skip it. If one is really resonating with you and you want to, for the first journal prompt, write out, I release, today I release, I release, I release, and you write in the same statement, do it. Because here's what you're doing. We're going to set our brain to concentrate on the good stuff, not the bad stuff. Like, we're taking in the gratitude and we're going to breathe it in, right? We're releasing and breathing out. We're setting a focus. Maybe my focus for the day is just to concentrate on my big rocks and don't worry about the rest. Or maybe my focus is to make eye contact and like hold the faces of the people that are really important to me. And then I'm going to get to, not I have to. The whole point of that third or the fourth journal prompt is I get to, not I have to. Like, holy crapola. I get to go to another office meeting. I get to because I have a job, right? Who's here from the Milwaukee area? Ellie, I don't remember where you're in the Milwaukee area. Milwaukee-ish area? Oh, no, you're not. Well, we all had voting like Tuesday, right? And so there were some referendums that were not passed in the Milwaukee area, and they did a boatload of layoffs for MPS, Milwaukee Public Schools, right? Yeah, you get to. You get to go to a meeting today, right? I get to get up and go to work. Okay? There's reason, right? Yes, Gina, right. Sad. So we get to show up here and learn. Work on our brain. Okay? So there's reason behind those 6 journal prompts that are part of the daily flow. because we want to control the 50 bits of information per second that comes into our brain so we can say, bye-bye, girlfriend, talk to the hand, because you want to know what? My brain ain't listening. No, 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 not at all. Here's my focus. Here's my action. Here's what I'm grateful for. I am, the I am statement. I am proud. I am healing. I am, right? I am working towards a better health, making smart choices because I care about my brain and I want to start today because the good news is I can create new neuron connections. Ah, love it. Okay. That's the point of the daily flow. We want to control her and not have her control us because we wake up in the morning and she's just like, no, 50 bits. That's it. I'm sorry. Goodbye to the other 2,400 whatever. How I don't clearly I can't do math. What did I say? 11 billion. Goodbye to the however you do the math. Basically 11 billion. Goodbye. I'm only keeping 50. Okay. That's what we want. That's the point of that. Now, next up is the slow down to speed up. The why behind this. This is at the end of the week. So we've got our weekly setup that we talked about. We're going to get all that stuff that's on our brain off. We're going to go decide what's most important right now. We're either going to start it, we're going to continue it, we're going to finish it. We're not going to be hard on ourselves when we don't get the whole list done because we never will. We're always going to have things. We're going to do the big rocks because we don't want to just check things off the list and do list things. We want to move forward, big important things, right? Then we've got that we're going to set our brain. So then we get to the slowdown, and this is at the end of the week. Actually, I have some coaching clients that like to do this daily. There's no judgment. Again, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you got the journal and you're going to rip out the pages and put a grocery list on there. I have no idea, right? There's no judgment. Use it how you want. Okay. But you're here because you're looking for something bigger, better. You believe that you have more in yourself. Maybe you're starting to feel resentment for your job, or you're tired when you get home with your family, or you want to, put yourself first, like we talked about, and have more time, whatever that might look like for yourself. Okay. The slowdown is to optimize your brain health and recognize what you did that was challenging, what you learned, what you created. Because when you create, you grow, and you challenge, your brain grows. Your brain grows. And we want to have big, beautiful, healthy brains as we continue to get older so that we're not in that stage. Like, I think about this, like, because I'm in my 50s. And so obviously my parents are now, and in-laws are in their, mid to late 70s, right? And imagine, so far we've been super blessed and we're not over the top like caregivers. We've had moments, right? But I think of myself, okay, why would I want to take care of my brain health? You want to know why? And so my daughters. So if there's 2/3 of women are caregivers, ironically, one of my daughters is a nurse. She's a pediatric nurse at Children's. That's a caregiving position. So if 2/3 of women are naturally caregivers and 2/3 of them get Alzheimer's or dementia or cognitively have decline, and we know they're caregiving, whether it's in their job or they have children or they're thinking of things, maybe their spouses or whatever it might be, what am I doing to my daughters if I don't take care of my brain? Because then they're going to have to be a caregiver of me. And now I've created a cycle where now potentially they're not taking care of themselves first, which means, oh my gosh, are they going to end up with their own dementia? Right? So that's also how you can think of the why. So when we're talking about the slow down to speed up, it's so that you can recognize what you did so that you aren't living in the gap, you're living in the gain. Great book, by the way. Okay? So that you can see what you're doing, so that you can recognize what you've learned. And oh, by the way, if you get to those pages and you're like, well, what did I do? What are the questions? I don't know, I just drew a blank. Because I'll be honest, this is the one part, like I always share this, that I tend to skip. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Okay. What was a win this week? How did I leave my comfort zone this week? Like if you're not leaving your comfort zone, and maybe you don't every week, but maybe you need to start recognizing like it was uncomfortable to even show up here. Maybe you had to say no to something to show up here. Well, let's write that down. Okay. Who did I help this week? That's a big one. Who or what impacted me this week? What opportunities for growth have I discovered? This right here is part of the neurological studying of how we can keep our brain healthy so that we can live long, healthy lives and not have to worry about our children or our sister or our brother or our mother having to be our caregiver. So here's what I want to share with you. Here are the little nuggets that I got from this podcast that I listened to. One, the word cumulative or pattern. So obviously, if you've been in my world for a while, you know that I study personal growth and development. And so whether that is nutritionally, whether that is what we're talking about today, that's neuroscience related, whether it's brain health, whether it's what we do, what we listen to, all of the areas of our body. Okay. And I tended to use a lot the word consistency. And in my brain, and I'm only telling you how I processed consistency and then how I didn't give myself grace and I would get really hard on myself. I would say to myself, okay, great. You did a really good job of doing your morning journaling routine, 3 days a week, not 5 days a week. I would not consider that to be consistent. Okay. So then I would get really hard on myself. And this is almost like what I would call a perfection tendency. It's kind of the all or nothing, right? Like, oh, forget it. You want to know what? I had a really bad breakfast. I had a donut. I shouldn't have. And, for lunch, I ate, at Culver's or whatever. You know what? Forget it. Why would dinner even matter? Okay. The perfection tendency, right? Oh, like, why should I journal today? I didn't do it 3 days ago. Okay. That's how I would process the word consistent. And I would say to myself, oh, I'm not being consistent. I'm not good enough. I love the word cumulative and pattern. Okay. It just changed my mindset when I heard this. So when we're talking about our brain health and the examples that I'm giving you, it's cumulative. It's if you choose to go for a walk 3 days a week and you do that for 10 years, it's the cumulative matter of what you're doing that actually changes your brain or the pattern. Like I have a pattern of choosing really healthy things. It's a pattern. Do I do it all the time? But no, it's definitely a pattern. So those were two words that came up when I was listening to this that made me feel better about the conscious choices that I am making to live my best self. Okay, so those might be words that help you out if you have perfectionist tendencies or whatever. Okay, so here are the core lifestyle measures. Okay, it was an hour and a half podcast, I think, maybe 2 hours. So, but here are the core lifestyle measures that are from the book. Okay, and I'm going to give those to you. So these are your little bonus. So neuro, Neuro, Neuro. You are going to pick 1 to 2 or one of something that I already said. And here's what you need to know. If you pick 1 to 2 new habits that I'm going to give you, you will have a 30% reduction in the likelihood of you having a cognitive disease. Like, what? Now hear me out on this. And again, this is based on studies, right? If you pick 4 habits that I'm going to share with you that are with the acronym NEURO, Neuro, you have a 60% reduction. Sign me up for that. Okay, so here's what NEURO stands for. N, nutrition. Duh. Now, if we have a cumulative or a pattern, love it, of good nutrition, wait till you hear this. It increases your reduction to getting Alzheimer's by 53%. 53%, you guys, right? We don't need to go crazy. They actually gave an example. If you just had one leafy green meal or serving. Actually, they said serving per day. That helps. And it starts rewiring the healthy connections in your brain. Okay. I was like, okay, hello. Looks like I'll be putting spinach in my smoothie, right? Okay. Cumulative pattern. I definitely have a pattern of making nutritional choices. I really do. And you probably do too, and don't even realize it. Okay, guess what the E stands for? Shocker! Exercise! Exercise, movement. Now, here's one for you. Based on studies, this is why I love when I listen to, neuroscientists and people who are smarter than me, and they've got all the percentages. I'm like, I love it. I love the proof, right? If we're talking about science, we're talking about proof, not theory. If you go for a brisk walk for 25 minutes, a brisk walk for 25 minutes, 5 times a week, a brisk walk for 25 minutes, 5 times a week, you will have a 40% reduction in your cognitive decline. Shocker. That's the E. You unwind, unwind. Part of the slow down to speed up that's in the Flow Self journal is about unwinding. It's about slowing down. But when they talked about unwinding, they were talking about sleep. Because sleep, good sleep, reduces stress. And we talked about good stress and bad stress. There's good stress and bad stress. Okay. This is how we reduce the bad stress. Because here's the deal. Has anybody ever, either one, had a newborn baby where you're like, up every 30 minutes and you're not really getting any REM sleep, or maybe you've, been traveling and you're like not sleeping well, or maybe you chose to have 2 glasses of wine and you're over 50 and all of a sudden you have massive hot flashes in the middle of the night. That's what I heard happens. I mean, I'm not speaking from experience here, right? You know what it's like. And then you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, and now we can all look at our sleep score. Like, maybe that data hurts us. I don't even know. Look at my little watch and it's like, you have a sleep score of 70. Like, you're going to basically suck all day long. And all of a sudden, you're kind of like, you haven't gotten the sleep, you haven't unwound, you weren't sleeping for 7 to 8 hours. And then you want to know what happens? Then you make bad choices about your nutrition. You don't go exercise. It is like the number one thing that has an effect on everything else. And it's also the number one thing that helps with stress reduction because we get stressed out when we haven't done our daily setup or our weekly setup because we didn't have time, because we didn't sleep and we're too tired and we're making really bad choices, right? And so when you sleep, your brain actually catalogs your memory. And when we catalog our memory, we have better focus. The reason sometimes we're going throughout the day and we're feeling like we're not getting the right thing done or we're completely exhausted, it's because we never focus. And we can't focus because we can't remember anything, right? That's the other reason for the weekly setup. And then the last one is O, which is optimize. Optimize. We have nutrition, exercise, unwind, optimize. This is the cognitive activity, like we can optimize our brain when we have purpose or we're learning or we're engaging, right? That's what optimize means. Like right now, you are here and you are learning. Guess what? Great news that I have for you. You've already done your O for today, right? You're learning something new. You're writing. Allie, I can see you're writing. We also know when we're writing, that's the whole purpose of the Flow Self Journal, is we're also then optimizing how our brain is wiring those 11 million, billion, trillion things, right? So that we do the 50. Gina, writing my butt off. Yeah, that's right. Right. So, like, imagine, I love the example that they gave in the podcast is imagine you go for your 25-minute brisk walk. And while you're on your brisk walk, you listen to something like this. Boom. 2 done in one fell swoop. You just did your learning for your cognitive activity. You got really excited and you went for a walk, right? Or maybe you go for a walk instead, you don't listen to anything. And maybe that's part of your unwind. And it's peaceful. And you're taking in nature and you're listening and you're hearing and you're like, yeah, okay, de-stress. Love it. So I will send the link to this podcast. It's a lot. if you don't love neuroscience as much as I do and you don't geek out on it, you got the most important pieces, the core lifestyle measures. And flow self, which you have the workbook or the 7-day reset, or maybe you have the journal, goes right along with it. There, I had no idea when I created this, like the why behind it. The next piece, the flow self assessment. If you have not taken that yet, which you can get at Flow Self Systems, goes also with this because it's looking at all 12 areas of your life. And part of it is nutrition, part of it, which is your physical health and your mental health and your relationships and all the things. It's a great tool to assess where you are at to decide what you want to concentrate on. We don't need to do it all at once, but could you pick one? Of everything that we talked about, just one that was like really excited you, and you're like, I could do that. I could totally do that. Because I don't know about you, but I want to be here until I'm 100 years old. But I want to be a healthy 100-year-old. Healthy. I don't want to put a burden on my children or my grandchildren or my great grandchildren at that time. No, this girlfriend, she's going to be healthy. And these are simple things that you can do. So thank you so much for showing up. I hope that you will show up the next month, the next month, the next month, the next month, because we may talk about something else. And here's the thing. We know that our brains actually need to hear concepts and ideas. Are we ready? 7 to 14 times before we actually remember it. 7 to 14 times. Like I will listen to this podcast probably 3 times and also write things down, and I'll still forget. And I'll be like, oh, let me go back to my notebook. What is the one thing that I want to talk about that I learned, right? So that's also why you want to show up here, because every time that you show up, you're a different person. And one of these things that we talked about, you'll be ready to implement. You don't need to implement it all. It's just where are you right now in your life so that you can go live your big, beautiful, for the love of, you get to fill in the blank. For the love of great nutrition, for the love of exercise, for the love of unwind, for the love of self, you. All right, guys, that's all I have for this month. I cannot wait to see you if you are coaching clients on the other side, one-on-one. As always, reach out to me if you are looking for more personalization. You're looking to hire a speaker for your office, or your nonprofit, your conference, whatever it would be. Reach out. But otherwise, thanks for showing up. Bye.